Good morning, everybody. What I want to discuss this morning is a topic I had already started to discuss on Facebook, where I have a lot of activity. An Ashkenazi Jew, by the way, for the information of people that are not familiar with Ashkenazi Jews are one of the main branches of the people of Israel. An Ashkenazi Jew read this book. Hebrew-Igbo Republics, Culture, Religion, and DNA, which I wrote and published in 2020, and gave me a call yesterday. I will relate to you our exchanges. An Ashkenazi Jew read my work, Hebrew-Igbo Republics, called me, and the only question she has been asking herself for weeks, according to her, is, without any doubt, these people, Igbos, are very clearly like the people we read about in the synagogues every Shabbat. They are very much like our ancestors, yet we don't know about them. In Israel, no person in authority talks about them, even though they are millions in numbers. When she stopped talking, I had all kinds of feelings, all kinds of thoughts came to my head. Well, a 20-minute conversation or more, it was. A lot of things were discussed. But what I recall that I said to her is what I'm going to read out now. By the way, I paraphrased her words and my responses. So, the paraphrase is, the world is strange. Strange things happen. Millions of African Americans, Sierra Leoneans, and Caribbeans going about today as African Americans, Sierra Leoneans, and Caribbeans are Igbos through and through, yet there's no Igbo mission to them. A president of a very important Central African country is Igbo, born in Igbo land, and yet zero Igbo mission to him and people like him. And until I, Remy Ilona, responded to Haitians in Miami, Haitians of Igbo descent in Miami, because Haitians are not just of Igbo extraction. Some are of other African extractions, but a significant number of Haitians are of Igbo stock. When they reached out to me when I was in Miami, I responded as an Igbo, spoke to them as an Igbo, reminded them of when they ran to the help of Igbos when the Igbos were in distress, and how the Igbos also responded when they were in distress. The delegation to Haiti, with hundreds of thousands of dollars in hand, led by this Peter Obi, when Haiti was struck by earthquake, was in some ways an acknowledgement of what Haiti did when the Igbos were marked for extinction. I responded as an Igbo. I am pretty sure that before I made this move, if Igbos responded to Haitians, they responded to Haitians as Africans, responding to other Africans in diaspora. This was essentially the core of what I told this lady. In other words, if Jews do not know about the Igbos, at the same time, we can say that Igbos do not know about people, do not know or care about people who were Igbos just 50 years ago. Like this president of a Central African country, he was born in Igbo land. His younger sister has relocated to Nigeria, married an Igbo. But with all the resources available to the Igbo people, the Igbos have not reached out to people like that as Igbos. But then I continued to think about this matter. And I want to tell you what my thoughts about this matter are. Why should I bother so much about what Jews think of my connections as an Israelite to the Israelites? I should bother more about what have Igbos made out of this relationship of the Igbos to the Israelites. You can forget the Igbo clowns that dispute the naked fact, because I'm only bothered about Igbo disputation, Igbo skepticism. I do not care about what anybody who is outside the Igbo world thinks about my connection to the Israelites. My DNA proved connection to the Israelites, my culture proved connection to the Israelites, my history proved connection to the Israelites, which is beyond doubts, which is such a fact ingrained in the Igbo population that Agụba, the filmmaker that Pastor Chibuzo in Port Harcourt wanted to rescue from the streets, and they have difficulties at the moment because Agụba insisted that if he is to marry a woman, that it has to be a woman from Israel. Agụba is not a very lettered person, but he mentioned Israel because every Igbo grew up learning that the Igbos came from Israel. So we can ignore what the clowns, people that social media has made relevant, try to put up on their walls and in funny groups they have founded about Igbos that are outside this strand of Igbo history. So, but the question is, what have Igbos made out of this relationship? How many Igbos know the importance of it? How many Igbos know that their future, that if they are to be relevant at all in the world, they have to look carefully at the Hebrew strand? By the way, Hebrew is the English way of saying Igbo. They have to look very carefully at that strand of their history, look at their culture as Israelites and not the present nonsense espoused and lived by majority of Igbo people. Igbos have not taken this very seriously. It is not mainstream as it should be. It should be the central agenda. It should be a central agenda to the Igbo people, because in it lies the future of the Igbo people. And even when they don't recognize this, anecdotal evidence is telling them that they have to sit up. My last video was about Nigerians' linkage of Messianism to Igbos. I explained what Messiah means there when the consciousness or when the hungering and longing for Messiah comes up. Is when society has collapsed. And interestingly, the few times that people have come up with messianic agendas, with ideas that society could be changed, the people that came up happened to be Igbos. And as we know, the idea of a redemption of man, the most developed idea of redemption of man, developed in Israel. So why is it linked to Igbos if there is no connection? But there are clowns that social media has made relevant, so they dispute it. But if the Igbos listen to them, then Igbos deserve them and deserve to be where they are. So, why should I worry so much about what Jews think and do not think? I should worry more about what Igbos have made out of this. Because the world is structured in such a way that people identify with success. People identify with achievements. I'm identifying with Ukraine when I read about how it decided to abandon the kleptocracy they inherited from the Soviet Union, develop a modern society, and move forward. And I believe that is why the Western world thinks it is worth defending. Israel had diplomatic relations with the Igbo-led eastern region of Nigeria. When this region was moving forward, the question that most Igbos have not bothered to ask themselves is, what was the culture of this eastern region? What culture did it profess? For a fact, its leaders, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Emeaghi Okpara, said they were Israelites. They tried to live like Israelites, and the eastern region of Nigeria became the fastest growing economy in the world. Israel had diplomatic relations with this eastern region of Nigeria. So why do Israelis not know about Igbos today? Israelis are moving forward. Israelis are identifying with America, with Japan, with Western Europe, with people that are strong. So you can see why I place very little emphasis on what Jews and Israelis think of this relationship, and place far more emphasis on what are Igbos ready to do with it. Igbos will move forward with it because if they look at the history, examine the culture, examine what they were able to achieve when they lived by the culture of the Israelites, which is their heritage, they will begin to move forward again, and they will be the bride that everybody in the world desires. Have a nice day. Thank you. And please subscribe. Subscription is free. The only favor you can do to us is subscribe. And if possible, get our books and read them. Thank you.